August. And so we had two different hurricanes in that part of the state this year, and it's just been a double blow to the farmers there. The winds were just tremendous, caused a lot of damage to our pecan growers. There are some pecan growers that lost their entire grove. Those are 100-year-old trees that won't be producing. Usually when you put a new tree in the ground, it takes maybe 10 years before you get a significant commercial crop out of it. So there's going to be a lot of loss from pecans. The estimate for cotton is that the cotton across the state is probably a 35% loss. It would have been a lot more if it had been a farther west track, because we grow a lot of cotton in southwest Georgia. But fortunately, that really the wind wasn't too bad there on the left side of the storm, and so those folks were really spared. But I think the east side, almost a complete loss, especially because most of the cotton was already open. The fibers were out and they were showing. And so, once it's exposed to the elements, the wind can just blow that lint right off the plants. It goes on the ground, you can't really harvest it anymore. And then if it gets wet, the quality goes down. And so there, it was many places almost a complete loss. Of course, you grow a lot of cotton in Alabama, and so I think the prices will go up, and that may help some of the farmers in Alabama. Although there, unfortunately, you've been dealing with a lot of drought this year. And you did not get too much rain out of Helene. If the path had been a little bit farther to the west, I think you would have had more relief as far as the rain goes. For Alabama, it's late in the season for cotton, so that may not be a huge issue. Maybe a little bit more of an issue from some other crops like peanuts, where they still have a little bit of time to grow before they harvest.
Taking you now across the world to Mexico, where Hurricane John leaves behind devastation. At least 17 people are dead after John struck the southern Pacific coast of Mexico. John initially hit the coast last week as a tropical storm, but quickly came back, making landfall as a Category 3 hurricane. Farm animals that have sadly drowned pose a health risk to residents. To combat this, some volunteers are burning carcasses in outlying areas. The Mexican Army and National Guard are making efforts to deliver aid packages to families living in those impacted towns. Well, in 30 seconds, we're going to take a look at your Wednesday forecast, as well as talk about how wildfires can be possible across the state during fall. We'll be right back. All right, everyone, welcome back in. We've been talking about slightly warmer conditions for this week. More specifically, tomorrow afternoon, we'll see highs reaching closer to the mid-80s, but by Thursday, we could see some more upper 80s across the area. We're not only going to be warmer, you're going to see a lot more sunshine, less gloomy, cloudy conditions. I know it's been pretty cloudy throughout the start of your week, so maybe enjoy some outdoor events. The Mountville Native American Festival would be a really cool one. This one's Thursday at 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Dry conditions, temperatures again warming into the mid to upper 80s, light easterly winds, and that one's going to be at the Mountville Park. We also have the Coleman Oktoberfest. I hope I'm saying that right. Oktoberfest. This one's at Depot Park, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Beautiful conditions for this outdoor event as well. By the time the event starts at 4 o'clock, temperatures there in the mid 80s. Again, a lot warmer for your Thursday, but cooling off into the 70s, lower 70s around 8 p.m. It should feel pretty pleasant. By 10 o'clock, upper 60s at the end of that event. So again, looking slightly warmer for the middle of your week, but we're actually going to be trending a lot cooler back in the low 80s as we head into your weekend. But now I want to send it over to Wes.
Yeah, Tania, I was going to say, if you've never been down to the archaeological park in Mountville, you've got to check that out. It is a sight, something to see. It is certainly absolutely Alabama. IR satellite right now across the region. We do have some clouds that are moving south. No rain showing up at this time, but I want to go to the drought monitor. And even though we've had all this rain with Helene and areas back to the east, we're still seeing severe drought conditions across parts of our area. We could use some rain, so it really won't take time time for everything to really crisp up out there. October is typically our driest month on average. Look at all this rain, though, from that tropical system. Look at that, over 19 inches. There's even more than that, according to some of the radar estimates. Those are 7-day rainfall totals from our Barron system. Some of the data that we have here in the Weather Center, and that's showing, obviously, those areas to the east, and not a lot for us here across Alabama. But meteorologist Shinty Rodriguez joins us now with our friends from the Alabama Forestry Commission as they talk about the different fall conditions and how that can contribute to wildfires.
As we head throughout the fall season, we can also encounter fire weather, which can lead to wildfires. We're joined again by Tim Roberts, who is a forester with the Alabama Forestry Commission, who's going to talk to us about these conditions and what causes them. Tim, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, fire dangers and fall weather, how common are these wildfires during this season?
So October and November, when we get into the early fall, are our highest fire times. That's not just here in the central region, but across the state. It's our driest period of the whole year. And no matter really what happens with the weather, we're always going to have some wildfires.
And during the fall, we see an increase in these wildfires versus any other season throughout the year?
Yes, typically what you'll see, we have 2 fire seasons in Alabama, spring and early fall. In the spring, it's not usually quite as bad because we have a lot of new growth, a lot of green leaves, and green doesn't like to burn as much, a lot more water in those. But as it gets drier and our leaves start to lose their chlorophyll, we see an increase in fire weather, especially when we have weather patterns like hurricanes coming through and increasing winds that spread those fires.
Okay, so you talked about the wind, that is one of those factors that contribute to the wildfires, but what else might help with the spread of the wildfires?
Right, of course wind is one of the big things we look at. Relative humidity is another big thing we look at. When they start to drop below that 40% number, that 30% number, we consider it very dry, especially at nighttime when we're not seeing the same recovery that we would normally have, where typically in Alabama we're used to up to 70-80% coming back. We're only getting 40 to 50%. Fires usually don't like to go any further than about 80% humidity. So once we hit that number, they kind of decrease. But without any type of recovery, they typically continue to spread. But the wind and the humidity are our biggest things that we look at.
Okay, and what can we do to keep our homes safe and less likely to be affected by fire?
Of course, that's always an important topic. So the biggest thing we always try to tell people, if you're using fire as any kind of tool, whether it's to burn trash or use it for the environment, always use extreme caution and always err on the side of the law. What your local regulations are and what the state regulations are. If you're unfamiliar with those, give one of us a call. We'll always be more than willing to help you out in understanding what those are. Something else you can always do is cleaning out your gutters. Simple things like that to relieve the amount of fuel that's in your gutters and around your house where trees leave debris, leaves, needles, things like that, that can easily combust.
Still ahead, I told you about Hurricane Kirk. Well, we're going to show you what else is going on in the tropics. And how about this? We take you beyond the atmosphere to what's being called the Comet of the Century and how you may be able to view it. I'll show you after the break. All right, welcome back to Weather Extra and one of our new Sky Vision cameras here. This is at the Honeybait Hams right there in Northport, right there on 82 and 69. And looking back to the west, there's still some clouds showing up, but we go further west to Vernon and you can see the sky clearing out at 81 degrees. Going to Walker County and also seeing a little bit of clearing there at 73. Feels nice out there around Jasper and over towards Cordova and Dora, places like Sipsey right now. And in East Alabama from the Calhoun County 911 camera there at Jacksonville, you can see also some nice evening conditions for East Alabama. We'll see some 60s out there, maybe some fog around early tomorrow morning, but with all the cloud cover, still not a lot of rain. You can see how the high resolution models trying to generate a couple of showers, just not seeing any wet weather on radar. So we stay dry. And how about a first alert for some nice weather for a change right next couple of days? And it's been nice, and looks like tomorrow also as we go into Thursday, we'll enjoy more sunshine in the mix. We'll clear out in the morning, temperatures in the low 60s early in the day. Afternoon, we'll have lots of sun mixing in, those temperatures rising into the low 80s, and then again some patchy fog into early Thursday. Afternoon highs back into the 80s with a mostly sunny sky. So that's the next couple of days. Could see a couple of showers. Tania was talking about this earlier this evening. We might get a few isolated showers on Friday, and we could see some tropical moisture try to work in here. We're watching a disturbance over the Gulf, a 40% chance for development here, and what we're seeing is now it looks like development, if we do see anything, may happen more into next week. It's a slow developing system, unlike Helene. I'm just not seeing that level of a tropical system at this time. So this may be kind of a sloppy development, maybe a depression, maybe a tropical storm, but we got a couple of fronts on the way, and you can see there's one front that's going to move in here towards the end of the week, and it may generate a shower. Again, some of that tropical moisture may work in here by Friday, but there's actually a stronger front that moves in early next week, and that's going to keep that deeper tropical moisture to the south and may actually turn that system, if we do see some development, more into central South Florida, perhaps towards the middle of next week if we do see anything out of that. I'm just not too concerned at this point. We'll just watch it. You know, it's hurricane season, obviously, but we're starting to see more of these fronts. And when you look at the 10-day forecast, we were discussing the forecast earlier, and we trended those temperatures down. Looks like we'll see some highs in the 70s again next week. Could see overnight lows down into the low 50s, maybe one of the next big things that we're also talking about. But thankfully, these clouds are breaking. I just want to show you this. This is kind of cool here. This was spotted from the International Space Station. This is the comet A3, and it's been visible during the morning hours, about 45 minutes before sunrise, and we've had a lot of photos. Folks have been able to capture photos. However, this thing is low on the horizon, and it's really been visible the past couple of days. But what's going to happen here is it starts to make its track around the sun over the next several days, so we'll lose sight of it. But coming late next week, if it survives that track around the sun, we'll have a great opportunity to see it in the western evening sky. This will happen after October the 9th, and we'll see the visibility. It will become brighter through October 12th, so we'll need to look for this. Again, this is Comet A3. Last time this thing was visible, 80,000 years ago. So that means its last visit was the Stone Age. So just put it into context. But it's very low on the horizon right now. So if you want to try to see it in the early morning, you know, it's kind of difficult right there with that twilight. But if you have a great view, some folks have been able to capture some images of it. But I do think you may need a telescope, binoculars, when this first starts to show up late next week. However, it may become visible to the unaided eye as it does grow in brightness. So it will be interesting to see how, you know, these comets sometimes are a bit unpredictable, but hopefully we have a great view late next week. But we will keep you posted right here on Weather Extra.
And now, Wes, let's take them beyond the 7 days.
Let's go beyond the 7 days. You know, we're talking about those 70s late next week, Tania.
Yeah.
And, you know, we could see some low 50s for overnight lows next week.
Oh, yeah. Overnight temperatures definitely look like they could have a big change in the coming days. I think we could see more of those afternoon highs in the 70s as we look closer to 14 days out. So if you really enjoy those pleasant 70s like I do, I can show you that, hey, that possibility might be nearer than it is farther away, okay? Before this week, we'll still hold on to those 80s. By early next week, Tuesday, that's when I'm seeing our first look at afternoon highs, reaching still low 80s, but a few upper 70s. We could see some mid 70s by the following Thursday, and then closer to 14 days out, that following Tuesday, 75 degrees. I'm not seeing really any rain chances, anywhere from partly cloudy to mostly sunny skies in the days ahead. So nothing really concerning as we look beyond the 7-day right now. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with a final check of your weather, and we're going to look at some of your lovely viewer photos. We'll be right back after the break.
All right, welcome back to Weather Extra here, and you can see on the 10-day forecast we have temperatures in the 80s and looks like maybe a couple of showers there on Friday, but otherwise a dry forecast. Tania, of course, coming up tonight. You'll have updates at 9.
Yeah.
And I'll see you back here at 10 o'clock.
Have a great evening. Thanks for joining us. Hey. Huh? Oh, okay. Take your time. All right, let's do this in 3, 2. Hey there, everyone. First Alert meteorologist Tania Michelle here. Here's a look at that 10-day forecast. We are tracking really not much this week. Slightly warmer for your Wednesday and Thursday afternoon. Mid to upper 80s. Overnight temps in the 60s. Back in the low 80s Friday. A little cloudier Friday. Could see an isolated shower around, but looking dry for the weekend, staying in the low 80s. As you notice, though, we bring in next Tuesday. Could see some afternoon highs back in the upper 70s, but with lots of sunshine and possibly staying in the 70s as we look closer to 10 days out from now. So just giving you all that First Alert. If you're looking for more First Alert weather updates, you can always download the WBRC 6 News First Alert weather app.